Hi everyone! The video you're about to see is one of the most intimate, personal and private videos I have ever made, even though it's not about me at all, but it's about some of my closest friends and their stories of war. As you know from my previous video, I recently went to Europe for the first time since I moved here to America, and the main reason of that trip was to see and reconnect with my dear friends from Ukraine whom I haven't seen for 8 years. So in this video you will see the actual footage of those epic reunions, as well as hear the stories of these real people in this real war. It is beautiful, emotional and important to share because all of these young women were affected directly by Russian invasion of Ukraine, and their stories are powerful as well as they are themselves. I want this to be a reminder that the war in Ukraine is still in full scale regardless of the dramatic dip in media coverage. Please continue to stand with Ukraine, support Ukrainian people, and if you'd like to donate, I will leave a link to my fundraiser in the description below as well as at the end of this video. I hope you enjoy. Slava Ukraini! Glory to Ukraine!
Oh my god! Oh my god! I wasn't ready!
The first person I met with was Sasha. We've known each other since the first grade when we were 6, and for the next 10 years we went to a French school together in Odessa, Ukraine. In the elementary school we were good, quiet girls until the day when our teacher once set us together and somehow we turned each other into a hurricane of misbehavior. Since then we basically never stopped misbehaving, and I strongly believe that we helped a huge deal to shape each other and become who we are as adults. Our friendship wasn't consistent though, and over the years we were best friends, we were frenemies and just acquaintances at times. But through the decades and many oceans and continents between us, we never lost connection and love and respect for each other. And it is beautiful and symbolic that Sasha was the first person I met with on my epic comeback. And now I'll let you enjoy the footage of us meeting for the first time in over 8 years. And of course we were twerking. What else you would do? I just love it. We immediately turn into 15-year-olds when we see each other. It's hilarious.
I knew!
Sasha is a very special character in this whole story because she's the only girlfriend of mine who voluntarily made a very conscious decision to stay at her home in Odessa, Ukraine through the war. She only came to Europe to spend time with me and other friends, and when I flew back to America, she went back to Ukraine. The amount of bravery and badassness that this decision requires is beyond me. And even though it was very hard for me to accept it at first, I've learned to truly understand where she's coming from and respect this very brave choice. I know Sasha has surely and thoroughly considered every option. The last drop of acceptance came to me when 2 months into the war, Sasha left Ukraine for 10 days to attend her grandma's jubilee abroad, and was saying how being away makes her indeed more worried than when being in the war zone herself. It also helped me understand my own feelings of intense, paralyzing worry thousands of miles away, especially in the first few weeks when I lost any ability to function. What is not obvious at first is that Sasha already ran from war once. She was born in Baku, and her family fled to Ukraine due to the war in Azerbaijan when she was a little girl. So she already had to rebuild her home and community once, and she did it so successfully that any local Odessite could envy. She made Odessa, Ukraine her forever home, and as an early immigrant herself, she truly treasures that ever-lacking sense of home. Sasha has also become a tour guide in Odessa, and our beautiful, unique city became a part of her identity. I really hope the war ends soon and Sasha will be able to offer the guided tours of Odessa again and tell people what it was really like to live in this wonderful city through the war, with daily air raid alerts and dangers of shelling, with several deadly ones to date. On top of that, Sasha and her husband, who've been together for 15 years, yes, they're high school sweethearts, have just purchased their first apartment in Odessa. They fully designed it themselves and through blood, sweat and tears turned it into a true cozy home for their family and two fluffy cats. Being a DIY homeowner myself, I can imagine the pain of a thought of having your home destroyed. Home you've been working towards all your life and went all in to make it happen. Of course, it's nothing compared to losing health or loved ones, but let's not forget that no one in Ukraine is protected from that either. I'm gonna leave Sasha's Instagram in the description below. Go there to see the beautiful streets and learn the history of Odessa. Sasha also makes videos on demand. She made one for me when she walked around my old neighborhood, showed the buildings I lived in, places where we hung out as kids, and so much more. It is the memory I truly cherish and always will. You can also support Sasha and other Ukrainian tour guides and hosts on Airbnb. In the beginning of the war, people all over the world started purchasing guided tours and stays in Ukraine on Airbnb without an intention to visit, but with only goal to support the people of Ukraine. This was a beautiful, self-organizing initiative, and Sasha was in tears from overwhelming support in the first few days of war. I'll leave the links in the description below if you would like to do the same. Also, definitely save Sasha's tours in your favorites, and I hope one day you will visit our beautiful city of Odessa and have Sasha show you around and reveal its true hidden gems.
Million hugs and kisses, darling. Mwah.
Another epic reunion I had was with a good old friend, Kata. All three of us, Sasha, Kata, and I, went to school together in Ukraine from elementary through high, and somehow fast forward 20 years, we still haven't lost touch, even though I moved to the US many years ago. In fact, it was Kata who contacted me first on February 24th, minutes after Russia started its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Like everyone I love, she was in Odessa, in the south of the country. Her message read, "I woke up from explosions 10 minutes ago. I'll call you in 5. And since that message, life has literally never been the same.
Stop that war! Stop that war! Я согласна, что нужно бежать. Я согласна,
Зайчик,
что нужно бежать.
это для тебя. Очень люблю тебя, думаю о тебе все время.
Stop that war! Stop that war!
Save Ukraine! Save Ukraine! Save Ukraine! Save Ukraine! Save Ukraine!
In June, Sasha and I also traveled to Berlin to visit Kata and meet more loved ones. Kata and I met on my birthday, which made it even more special. And Sasha filmed this moment. We haven't seen each other for a decade, but had countless day-long phone conversations in the meantime. I find this footage hilarious because suddenly I started jumping of joy, and quickly all three of us were jumping and laughing. This very much reminds me our school dynamic. The three of us were definitely the triple trouble and always ready to do the silly thing that the other one just started. Teachers often had a hard time with us and had to kick someone out of the classroom. Most often that was me for some reason, but I didn't mind. In fact, I loved it. Oh well, I would like to use this moment to apologize to all our school teachers in Ukraine. Пробачте нас, будь ласка. Kata's story is special because in her 20s she moved from Ukraine to Russia for several years, where we had dozens of common friends, a true community. In our late teens and early 20s, every summer we hosted our Russian friends in our home and Black Sea resort of Odessa, Ukraine. And then we would visit them in Kazan, Tatarstan, during cold, snowy winters. Those were the happiest of times, and eventually Kata stayed in Russia for a few years, before coming back to Ukraine in 2019. Having loved ones in both Ukraine and Russia, I'm sure has added another layer of complexity in navigating relationships with people on both sides of the border, once bombs started falling. Like many people in Ukraine, when first explosions started, Kata felt terrified and lost. Just a few days prior, she was telling me how she'd gone to a restaurant and all tables together raised their glasses for peace and how lively and optimistic Odessa was. On the morning of February 24th, she described her feelings with a metaphor that I've heard many people use since. Pacing from wall to wall in my room, feeling bestial fear, not knowing what to do. In the first week of the war, she changed countless locations, running further and further away, from the city to the suburbs, crossing the border, through Transnistria into Moldova, to Milan in Italy, and finally ended up in Berlin, Germany. Kata had visited Berlin before and absolutely loved it for its diversity and rich electronic music culture. She's a DJ and musician, among other things. But suddenly fleeing to German capital in a war refugee status is far from being a careless tourist. It is not easy to navigate complex social systems in a country whose language you don't speak, where everything is different and new, while dealing with catastrophic, core-shattering news from home every single day. And we can only imagine how much harder it is for people who are older, those who've never been abroad, those who don't speak English, for mothers with children who had to leave their husbands behind, those who lost their homes, body parts, or loved ones. Kata is a creative person and an artist, always been. From talented drawings of caricatures at school to becoming a photographer, model, a musician, and a DJ, Kata certainly brings that je ne sais quoi to her every project. Her latest one being in journalism, called Portraits of People in War. Kata has been releasing her interviews with the Ukrainian people, sharing their stories of the war, alongside dramatic portraits that she takes of them. I will leave the link to her project in the description down below, and you can see that one of the stories is about our Sasha. I too participated in the project. Kata photographed and interviewed me when I visited her in Berlin, and the result will be published on her website soon. All interviews have English translations, so definitely make sure to check them out. It is an important and powerful project. Like vast majority of people displaced by war, Kata misses her home terribly and cannot wait to come back to the free Ukraine soon. I'll leave her Instagram in the description below if you'd like to follow along on her journey. I'm back to Berlin, and you think I'm gonna go home sleep? No, I'm on a date with my high school girlfriend, Kata. We're gonna eat farшированные перцы. You can't sit with us.